the channel. If you're watching this video, you've probably clicked on it because of like what it's about, I'm gonna assume. Basically, if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that last summer I was lucky enough to go in the Lowe's Universal Summer Programme hosted by a company called Yummy Jobs. So this summer I was meant to be going on the Disney Cultural Exchange Programme, but as I'm sure you're aware, we are in a pandemic. I'm laughing, but I'm close to tears. And therefore the programme was cancelled and I did not get to go. But since I was actually accepted onto the programme, I thought it would be fun to just make these kind of videos, because I watched a lot of these when I was applying, on like the application process of like the online interview, the pre-screen and the final interview. So the application process for the CEP is pretty much that it goes online application, pre-screen interview, final interview with Disney. So the pre-screen is an interview, a group interview with Yummy Jobs at their headquarters in Epping, and the final interview is an interview with a one-to-one interview with a Disney recruiter at Disney's headquarters in Hammersmith, London, which is very nice. I will tell you that, it's a very nice place. So this video is going to be on the online application and just kind of like a brief overview of what the programme is, how to find out if you're eligible for it, what happens if you're not, and maybe like a little bit about other programs you can do if you don't meet the eligibility, but probably not a lot because I don't really have that much information on them as I've not done them. Or not meant to do them, I guess, because I've technically not done the CEP, but anyway. So the CEP is short for the Cultural Exchange Programme. It's not a UK only programme. Disney does run it in other countries. I'm not sure of the whole list of countries, but I do know they have it for Canada and they have it for quite a few other countries. I think they've got it for like China and stuff as well, but I'm not 100% sure the countries, so you'll need to check, like if you're coming here to find stuff out, you'll need to check that elsewhere. So the CEP runs in quite a few countries. The CEP for UK takes place over summer. Traditionally it's from the second week of June till the kind of middle of August, end of August. So it's shorter than the Lowe's programme, because the Lowe's programme runs from start of June to start of September usually. But basically you go out for the summer, you can work in a variety of different positions. I don't have the exact list on me and I don't know them all off by heart, but for example I know you can do like attractions, you can do food and bev, which is like quick service, which is where you work in like one of the quick service foods, or you've got like food and bev where it's hostess, which is what I was meant to be doing, which is like seater and greeter, so you're essentially taking people to tables, etc. If you watched any of my summer videos, you'll know that I actually did that position as well as busser and food runner at Lowe's Universal. So there's also things like you can do merchandising, you can do costuming, which is the only backstage role available. You can do character performer, which is the fur costumed characters. So that's things like Mickey Mouse, Goofy, etc. But that's very dependent on height ranges and just general body types, etc. Because it depends on like being able to fit in the costume, and it also depends how well you'll react to the heat, because obviously it will be very, very hot in the summer in Florida. There's also custodial, which is a really popular one. That's like just keeping up with the general cleanliness of the park. It's the most customer facing role. So if you're wanting to see guests all the time, that is the role for you essentially. But obviously there's a whole ton of other different roles. I'll maybe do a video in the future of what they all entail, but that's just a brief overview. So the CEP, you're only eligible if you are a university student. Before you apply, you must have completed a year of university. So you cannot apply before you've completed a full year of university. So if you're a first year or you're going into first year, you cannot apply. You can only apply in the summer after you've done your first year of uni, and then you'll be able to go in the programme after your second year of uni. That's a Disney requirement. It's not a Lowe's, it's not a requirement that the Lowe's Universal programme has, but it is one that the Disney CEP has. And you have to be 18 at the time of your application. That's just the rules that Disney has in place. I think a lot of people get confused because obviously Disney use a thing called a J1 visa, and I know people who haven't gone to university use J1 visas for things like Camp America, but there is different types of J1 visa, and that's why Disney and actually Lowe's require you to be a full-time enrolled university undergraduate student. Yeah, and you must be enrolled. I don't know how certain this is, but I'm pretty sure for the UK CEP you have to be enrolled in a UK university, but you'd need to check that yourself because I'm not 100% sure. The CEP applications are done through a company called Yummy Jobs. I was a Yummy Jobs content creator last summer, so I kind of know a bit about Yummy Jobs. Well, I say kind of know a bit. I think everyone who's done a programme knows about Yummy Jobs because you have to go through them quite a lot. So Yummy Jobs is a company that is in the UK. They're based mainly in Essex, I'm pretty sure in Epping, and they kind of handle all of the applications for the Disney CEP, no matter whether you apply through them. If you try to apply on the Disney website, they will redirect you to apply to Yummy Jobs. So basically the first step in the CEP application that Yummy Jobs tend to open up late summer is the online application. Whether or not that will still happen this year with coronavirus like taking place, because it's obviously affected all of the participants who were meant to be doing a programme such as myself, we don't know what's going to happen with that. Whether or not they still open them on the usual timeline or if it's slightly delayed because of obviously the impact of coronavirus, not sure. But I just thought I'd make this video anyway just to explain what you kind of should expect from your online application, even if you're watching this in a year or so time. So the first part of the online application form is basically, I think I had to create an account first. So you create an account on the Yummy Jobs website and then you start to fill out the application. So the first thing the application asked me for was like my personal information. So it's like your name, your date of birth, what country you were born in, what country you live in, what country you have citizenship in. It's just kind of get like a wee mini fact file on you. And then they'll ask for a profile photo. I uploaded, I don't know if I've still got the photo. I uploaded this little photo of me that was like, my mum took it from like an angle like here. And it's literally me just like, and it wasn't really a good photo for my first year that I used in the Lowe's one, but anyway. And then this year I uploaded a photo from my summer, which I really don't recommend. You want to make it kind of professional, not like professional headshot. So I'd recommend just uploading like a smiley photo of yourself, kind of plain background, just so they can kind of see what kind of person you are. You don't want to be sending a mugshot, I would say. You don't want to be sending a photo that's you like glaring at the camera. I'd recommend sending a photo that's just you, neutral colours, with a wee smile. The next thing they move on to is like contact information, so like your phone number, your email, your address, and they also asked for a Skype ID when I applied, but I didn't have a Skype ID at the time, so I just left that blank. In hindsight, I maybe should have made one, but it didn't really matter because they don't really use Skype for the CEP anyway. Or they didn't, who knows what they might do nowadays with all these new guidelines, but we'll see. So they also asked for your emergency contact details, which was my dad, so it's things like address, phone number, telephone for them as well. The next section they asked for was education, so obviously they need to confirm that you are a full-time university student. I'm pretty sure Disney only takes undergraduates as well, so for me I just had to put in my university name, which is University of Stirling, my course, which is LLB Law, and then your attendance date, so that's like when you started uni and when you're expected to finish. So because I am in Scotland, it is a 4-year course, so I started in 2017 and I'm expected to finish in 2021. I also added in, I don't know if you had to, but I added in my secondary school and just like my grades and stuff from when I attended that, like 2011 I think to 2017. The main part of the application is, I'd say, is mostly adding in your work experience. That was the longest part for me just because it's so much kind of fiddling around. I didn't copy and paste from my CV because I thought that would just be a bit too much. I kind of shortened it and made little bullet point versions. It's pretty much just asked the title of the job you're in, who your employer is, and what your main responsibilities are, and when you started and when you ended, or if you're still at that job. So for my application for the CEP, I used to work at Domino's, and I still did when I applied. So I had my Domino's on there. I had my Lowe's programme, I put that on there because I'd done a programme over the summer. And then I also had like a waitress at a cafe when I was like 14 or 15, so I had that in there too. Any relevant experience basically to your overall work experience. So they do have additional questions they do ask you, and that's just to make sure if you're a right fit for the programme. You might be eligible, but you might not be the sort of person they want. So they do ask a couple of questions just to kind of make sure they're selecting the correct candidate. So the first one they ask is your availability. If you do not have an availability that fits with the program dates, you're not going to get it. If you say you can only work July, you're not going to get it. Typically you want to be available from like end of May to start of September, just because like it's a slightly broader than the usual dates and it kind of shows that you've got the time to do it. If you finish uni in the middle of June, you might find that you might not be able to go because program dates can range from early June to middle of June, and you don't want to, they won't let you start late. That's the only thing I'll say. Those program dates are not flexible at all. The second they tell you the program dates, that's most likely going to be the dates, and that'll be that. If you can't make those dates, there's no point in them inviting you to interviews and stuff. So one of the questions I was asked, I can't remember if they change this every year because I applied the year before last and I didn't get it but got universal, and I applied this year, but I can't remember if the questions were changed. But just as a brief overview of the one question they asked in the additional question section was, why do you value cultural exchange and interaction? Obviously you just kind of answer that in your own words. It does change, I'm pretty sure, but obviously as a cultural exchange program, you're going to want to talk about culture. You're not going to want to talk about how you've been the biggest Disney fan your entire life, because as horrible as this sounds, Disney do not want to hire Disney super fans. Disney want to hire people who will work well. And I think that is a distinction that can be hard to make sometimes, especially when you're so passionate about Disney, but you do not want to be like, the only reason I want to do this program is because I want to play at Disney. Like, that's not going to help anyone in the long term, I'd say. Personally, in my opinion, like, do what you want, obviously, but I do think you need to remember that it is a summer job. It is not a summer go and play. They also asked what my motivation for the program was, so you could obviously just say like why you want to do it, etc, etc. Obviously answering something like money, full stop, that's not very broad. I think there is a character limit as well, but it's just kind of to tell them about why you want to do the program, what maybe you want to get from the program, etc. One of the main parts they do ask for as well is your cover letter and your CV. There's no point putting things on your CV that have no relevance to anything. This is something me and my friends had to talk about a while ago. There's some stuff in your CV that as you grow older you no longer need. For example, I used to have that I was deputy head girl on mine. That doesn't really have that much relevance anymore, especially when I'm been out of school for a couple of years now. It's not very up to date. Your cover letter, so I always find it hard writing cover letters because I've never really done it much because I've always been in the kind of one or two the same job. Your cover letter is basically like a letter of intent, like why you're applying for this job. I'm pretty sure I directed it to Yummy Jobs and to Disney, but it was a little bit confusing. But your cover letter, you want to make it very precise, about a page, not even a full page maybe, just on why you're applying and what you want to get out of the program and what you think you would be, why you think you would be a good fit for that company's like ethos. So you want to be like, oh, you don't want to be like, I'm obsessed with Mickey Mouse, I can speak Mickey Mouse language. Like, that wouldn't matter. Like, they don't really care, they just want to know why you'd be good at working for them. The final wee bit is just like a brief kind of Yummy Jobs bit, just so they can double check things. So they ask if you've worked for Disney before. I don't know if that means like the merchandise stores in the UK, but I think it does. And they ask if you've done a Yummy Jobs program previously. I did, so I did the Lowe's one. When you click there, so they'll ask you which programs you've done. I also did the content creator, so that one I clicked as well. And they also asked where you hear about Yummy Jobs. That's not anything really to do with your application. I assume that's just them wondering where you did hear. And in my case, I heard on Facebook, I think. It was either Facebook or about a friend who'd done the CEP, the year before. So that is like the brief overview of the online application. It is not that scary and you do get a while usually to complete it. If your application is successful, you do hear from them towards the end, just after the end of the summer, maybe inviting you to a pre-screen. If you weren't successful, they'll let you know as well. If you're not successful, you're always welcome to apply again. If you're still eligible next year, you can also apply the year for the summer after your graduation. If you were to graduate this summer, you could have applied for this summer's program. So yeah, that's all that. If you're not eligible for this program, there are other programs you can have a look at. I will say if you're not eligible for this program, you're very unlikely to be eligible for the AEP, which is the Academic Exchange Program. My good friend Georgia, she is doing that next year. She was meant to be doing it this summer, but it's been pushed back a year because of coronavirus. So it's pretty much you go and you live in one of the Disney housing the way you would for the CEP, but you do it for a full year and you also study your degree while you're there. So her degree, I think, is like a tourism hospitality sort of thing. It's like degrees that kind of base around that, and it's only at certain universities. So the eligibility for that one is a lot tighter because you have to be doing a certain degree and you have to be going to set universities. I'm pretty sure Stirling University doesn't do it. I have a feeling the only university in Scotland that is eligible might be Robert Gordon, but I don't really know 100% because I've never really had to look into it, just because I knew my uni wasn't eligible, so I wouldn't take my word for that. You might want to have a look. The other program you might be eligible that Yummy Jobs do for Disney is the Cultural Representative Program, which is the CRP. It's the year-long one, the 12-month program. You can either work at Food and Bev in the full service restaurant, the Rose and Crown in Epcot, or you can work merchandise in the UK Pavilion, so it's like the wee shops, like the tea shop, the like kind of other shops. I don't really like Epcot that much, so I don't know much about it. Oh my god, I sound like a traitor. But the CRP, you don't need to be in university. You do need to be over 18 still, and you would probably need a lot more experience, in my opinion, for the CRP. People who I know who've done the CEP have applied for CRP and been rejected. It is a longer program. I've kind of looked into it. I don't know if I would be able to apply because of where one of my tattoos is, but it's something I'll maybe come to if I do decide later on that I do want to do it. I'm planning on also making another one of these videos based on the pre-screen interviews and based on the final interviews. So you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Instagram, you can also find me on TikTok nowadays because I'm obsessed with it, all under the username at Kirsty Clyne. If you want to ask me any questions about the application process, if you want to ask me anything about the Loads programme I did, if you just want to ask me anything about how you go about applying, like how the visa process works, etc., you're more than welcome to do that. Anyway, so obviously I'm sad that I didn't get to go this summer. I have my fingers crossed that I can go next summer. If I can, it won't be the end of the world. I'll be sad, but I've already had one incredible summer in Orlando and I'm more than grateful from that. I really do hope I get to experience the Disney CEP, but we will see. And for now, I'm going to leave you with that. And like I said, if you need anything, you can always message me, and look out for my video which should be up next week on the pre-screen application. See you soon!